We'll get cruising. Welcome. Happy Friday, if that's true for your time zone, or just happy here. Thanks for joining to the Contributor Comms Upstream Marketing Team meeting, subgroup of the Contributor Experience Team. We're happy to have you, and we break our agenda out into a couple different sections. One is just try to recap what's big and new and happening so that we can celebrate it together. And then we get into some discussion around what requests have come up that we've kind of stacked up to today to work through. And time pending, we get into some of the nerdy bits. Like, we have some code happening in this community, but it doesn't have to be the focus of it. But the bots that keep us connecting the dots between contributor conversations, we try to work on that as well. Cool. All right. Well, we can start with any introductions. See a new face. Do you want to tell us who you are and how you found us?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I should be more specific. You're new here, so you would know that. Hi. Yes.
No problem. Yeah. So actually, I'm Sladen, and I actually I contributed a lot of open source projects. Like, I was part of the Jenkins Google Summer of Code recently, and that's how I learned about Kubernetes once I joined my full-time job. So I was like kind of lurking around in the community and wanted to explore some of my skills other than coding. Like maybe participate in stuff like maybe like contributor experience or something like that. Usually, most of my contributions are code, but this time I decided to branch out and learn something new. So here I am. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was on Twitter and I seen Dim's tweet. I guess it was a huge thread on how to contribute to the Kubernetes community, and so he said, "Yeah, this is a good place to start." So here I am.
Perfect. Well, welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Very, very cool. Appreciate the background and also reading the tea leaves that I laid out there. Very cool. All right, well, let's jump right into the other details. So any updates or big wins for the community or for this team in particular that we should be capturing? Piyush, I see you added one. Tell us about it. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally thought this time, okay, I would apply for the release team, and applied for comms shadow. It goes well with contributor comms as well. So I thought, why not? And I got accepted. So I would be comms shadow for this release.
Let's see how that... Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
I have some notes.
Yeah, you were there last time. Yeah.
It's so important. If we learned anything from the previous release, that having a communication strategy kind of integrated in throughout the process will we'll be able to take advantage of the infrastructure we have to get the message out there, and also get some ideas on how to get ahead of messaging that might be challenging for people to consume. Yeah, so very cool.
Yeah, the Docker shim thing was quite interesting.
For those unfamiliar with the little bit of the hot mess that happened on the internet, the removal of or was it the depreciation? Deprecation, not the actual removal. The deprecation of Docker shim in 1.20 release led to an informative hellfire of conversation on the internet around what is Docker, what is a container, and how does Kubernetes do the things.
And standards and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it was just a deprecation warning and it will be deprecated soon, and like there was a lot of FUD immediately when that came out.
People very much don't understand the difference between removal and deprecation.
And they don't understand that CRI exists, OCI exists, and
we actually had a
a
question about Docker shim today in the Kubernetes dev Slack channel. Like, what am I going to do? Docker's going away. And I'm like, here's the FAQ. Here you go.
Jesus.
So even now, 2 months after the event,
we did an episode on it this week. So like on OpenShift TV, just so folks would have something to reference, because there's still folks asking me, right?
Yeah.
What do I do?
And to be super clear, having communication team members like in the release process will not prevent people from misunderstanding what's happening in the world.
No, but it will help us get ahead.
But there is people are arriving at this information on their own time, and we can just kind of keep repeating the correct information. So ultimately people end up, if they do arrive later, they see the latest information ideally. But if we release one artifact and pray that people land on the right thing, like even a broken clock's right twice a day kind of moment, like maybe some people will find it. But we got to keep up on the cadence, keep up on the conversation. So I added some ideas for later.
And just to add to that, I
Please.
believe we should have, I don't know, I mean, how feasible that is, and I'm yet to attend the first release comms meeting. But I think we should always have a bridge between us and release team. Probably, one person either in the shadow role or in the lead role, so that communication keeps going in. Right? We have a lot of ideas about communication, and of course, release comms is responsible for release communication. So I guess that kind of.
That's definitely an intention. So Chris kind of set us up unofficially on that path last release by being a participant, and Piyush, maybe you can just iterate on whatever notes he's put together, and we can kind of keep that momentum going. And yeah, we'll tag somebody in on the release to follow. Yeah. What was that, Chris?
Didn't say anything. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Cool. Alrighty. Well, keep us posted on how things start off, and maybe you can just give regular updates in this meeting for those that can't attend both. And we can brainstorm, like, based on what you're seeing, like, are there short episodic write-ups we could do to get the ideas out there? Are there tweetable actions and to get ahead of? Yeah, just use the channels we've got. Cool. Any other thoughts on comms and shadows and the challenges of that?
Who's the lead for comms? Do we know? I would have to look. Sorry.
Oh, lead for 1.21?
Yeah.
I saw the technical lead was Jeremy, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't actually know the structure.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess Nabarun is leading its whole for comms, it's Divya.
Okay, cool.
Great. Okay. Nothing else. Next thing on our agenda would be to talk about, we get some inbound requests throughout the week. I know a lot of us as volunteers, we don't spend a ton of time like blocking time during the week to get to them. So I'm trying to stack them up during this meeting so we always feel like we get something done. And we kind of stay in touch on what's happening. So the big request that came in was that the contributor survey needs help getting the word out. There's an issue there. See a note from, oh yeah, actually I added all this. I'm trying to remember what my past self did to set up for this meeting. Bob mentioned in chat that last year, Chris Blecker did all the mailing out to mailing lists. We didn't really have the channels that we have today or the consolidation into KDev mailing list. So just wanted to open it up first to like what are the right ideas, like what are some of the places that we definitely want to get the word out about the contributor survey, with the caveat that it's been requested that we don't tweet it out so that we don't get a large non-representative audience that are not necessarily there. Bob, do you want to add some context? Yeah.
I do think it'd actually be okay to tweet out from the contributor comms account.
Okay.
We just don't want it to be the main Kubernetes account because
yeah.
So for a little bit of background, what happened last year is the survey is really targets our contributor base and people looking to contribute, but by having it go out to such a larger audience, it sort of overran our survey results with people that have no experience with the project at all.
Yeah.
So it really it became difficult to tease out the data a bit.
And that was my fault. Sorry.
Yeah. we're not looking for blame. This is a.
I know,
No.
but I'm here to take credit for it.
We were still able to do, like, we basically filtered out anyone that responded they have not not contributed to the project yet, or contributed minimal. So it's just
fair enough. So given that it's such an important feedback loop in the process, and we have a lot of skilled people in this community, and I think we need someone on point for the next number of weeks, maybe like a month plus.
Yeah, we'll probably, goal at this point is to try and get it out by like the end of January, and leave it open for like a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just catching up on the Slack thread. I would like to volunteer, but maybe a little bit with some mentorship here and there. And also, I would like to ask, what is your opinion on trying to use the Slack, say the Slack bot,
Yes.
and do a reminder?
This is the perfect use case for it. We wanted to send it to everyone, so.
Mm-hmm.
So let's spend some time scoping this out. So we've got, as a reminder for all of us, we have a Slack bot integration that allows for one message to be sent out up to all of the channels, which would be hitting
about 500.
About 500 channels and 1,000 of people. A lot of people.
110.
It's 111 now that you said it. But so we have taken that power seriously and not used it because we haven't scoped it out. So as we talk about how to plan that out, so Rajula, you're comfortable being on point with with us supporting you.
Yeah, I would be glad to do
Plan.
this.
And let's. What do y'all think about taking some time to plan out the bits now? Like, let's thumbs up. All right. So just understanding the timeline of this, there's nothing to do until this is finalized in January. Is that correct, Bob? Oh, you're on mute, my friend. Or
sorry, hard mute button.
There you go.
There isn't that much to do until we are the survey is finalized and made in SurveyMonkey. That should be done honestly probably early next week. And it is also probably not a good idea to send it out with the US election changeover. So probably again the following week, so end of the month, we send out the notice to KDev, and we probably want to send that notice out realistically, like a reminder 2 weeks later, possibly I don't know if we want to do once a week, but at least 2 weeks later, and then a couple days before it closes, we want to hit every SIG mailing list, so SIG and working group mailing list. That actually, when we watched the responses come in, that really was the thing that boosted them up last year. In addition to the SIG and the community group mailing lists, ideally we drop announcements in all the SIG and working group Slack channels. I think that sort of summarizes the different endpoints for it all.
And kind of basically a 2 message, initial message, and then 2 weeks later for Slack channel sound reasonable as well?
Yep.
Okay. So it's really kind of copy for core email to dev, a audience specific one more pointed at the SIG. and then copy for a Slack message.
Yeah, the Slack message, of course, will just be a short like, "Hey, we're doing our annual contributor survey. Please fill out here. Possibly win a T-shirt or something." You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's actually a good point. So like, what's the incentive?
Right.
Let's say I have to go back and take a look at
Right.
what we actually have. But in the past, if you basically sign up to like be a mentor or something like that, then we'll toss a T-shirt at you. But honestly, we don't have, we get several hundred results usually. So we don't want to we can't give everyone a T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where
Yeah.
like the chance to win is just marketing gold, random variability, enforcement patterns, and also lower costs than sending it to everybody.
Yep. Yeah, I will get I have to talk to the CNCF about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So no reason to rush to an answer there, but ideally we have some sort of reinforcement, some like surprise, some written gifts like that people will receive for contributing. Cool. But also like this is a big deal for our community and it's important, and we can use that kind of language to get the right people to respond.
Yeah. It helps us what
does it help us do?
So for ContribEx, it really drives where our focuses are. That actually gives me an idea for another question to add to the survey.
Oh,
but
beautiful.
Since we didn't have the marketing team before on the previous survey, and actually the part of what led to the creation of the marketing team was the fact that there wasn't a disparate source, or people were consuming notifications like all over the place. There was no clear comms. People were unsure where to get the notices from people.
Yeah.
But really it sort of drives, it just gets us like a little bit of a health check on the community, and it drives ContribEx's focuses for the next year.
Is there any hook that we could give the other SIGs potentially? Like, I know the data is useful to ContribEx, but how is it also useful to other SIGs?
The thing, like we try and keep the survey itself like pretty short too.
Okay.
Like if we start, like the other SIGs have put out like SIG specific, like storage has put out several surveys.
Right.
Cluster Lifecycles put out several surveys.
And let me preface the question. Sorry, I'm just trying to generate more marketing type copy, right? Like, what other incentives are there for people in a SIG to fill it out, kind of deal?
Maybe we can. Could you send the draft of what the questions are our way, or
sure,
or we can review it next week once they're closer to finalization,
and
that way we're working from that. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, Chris. Like, we can poke at like what are the other angles that give people a sense of purpose if they don't contribute to ContribEx, like the classic "what's in it for me" vibe.
Right.
Well, like for like the other SIG leadership and things like that, it's sort of just like helps us with mentoring docs, and like one of the other things we found last year, this has actually repeatedly come up on every survey, is people want better docs. Like they're but the problem is that's also really hard to get other get other people to do. No, people don't want to necessarily update the contributor docs, but we'll see. I'm trying. We actually have a bunch of issues open right now on at least auditing the current set of documentation, and that's been pawned off to each SIG to update it. But that's another rant. I dropped a link to the current survey questions in chat.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, and I like the angle you're going. I like thinking about something like, what's an emotional hook you can pull on? It's like the like overemphasized version would be like, hate our docs, reply to the survey. like, we don't want to quite bag on ourselves that hard, but that kind of emotive focus.
I can say, like, when we removed the massive amount of people that filled out the survey last time that weren't contributing, it is a fairly like broad audience that does respond across the entire sort of contributor ladder. We have from members to sub-project owners in there, so it isn't like we're targeting. It is a very broad audience. It's just mostly just the contributor audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I can add something, I think in
course.
one of the meetings, we are trying to focus on getting more information on the non-code contributions. So is there a way we can actually put a question or get some information about what are the non-trivial non-code contributions people try to do? Like, can we list that out? Is it a good place to do that?
I think we had something like that.
It's only asking to rate the contributions.
Let's see.
Rate any challenges.
No, I think we had a non-code thing last year.
Is there also a survey just for the SIG leads?
No, we keep this one broad. We have pulled the leads directly themselves in the past, though.
Okay.
The one thing, like, with this being completely like anonymous, unless they want to like put in their email address, since the leads is such a smaller subset of people, there's I should say, there is less since it's easier to pin who people are, they aren't as keen on filling that sort of thing out. Unless you have no text box answers. Just as a heads up, if you want to, the way you get access to the document is by joining the ContribEx mailing list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just saw your request come in, and
Yeah.
that's how the docs are shared out.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Well, so many
thanks for sharing, Bob. This will help us.
Yeah. Really interesting to see how a good survey comes together. I have so many questions about that, but learning that is a different beast.
Josh, that's something I want to talk to Josh about.
Josh Burkus?
Yeah,
Yep.
Josh Burkus. I think he actually just wrote an article on I think it was on opensource.com on how to write a good survey.
He and Sophia, my coworker, are actually, I think, submitted a talk on it.
Yeah. Sophia is so smart.
Also, is it possible to use the last year survey data for marketing? Say, can we have some graphs?
That's a really good point. Oh, sorry, go for it, Bob.
If you want to look at the data, it's all in the, one sec, I will drop a link to it. It's all in the community repo. And we have done analysis, multi-year analysis and all that in there.
Yeah, it'd be cool to throw like a, did you know? This is what we've learned from previous surveys out there kind of thing when we're marketing that.
That's really fun, Rajula. Good call.
Yeah.
Awesome. When we did the announcement of this, this group now, or this now subgroup, it was all using the survey data on communication challenges from last year as the core premise of it. And that's what we focus on for the first, more than half of last year. So what are we going to do next? Let's do it. Cool. Anything else on survey?
I think that is pretty much it.
Great. All right. There's one more inbound request. I didn't add here, but there's a request about some tweeting of good first issues across a couple things, and I was hoping Chasm was able to join. Chris, would you have time to do some tweets, like scheduled tweets through Hootsuite?
Yeah.
Be awesome. Lily Kazik requested it for a couple things. I'll
Oh,
grab
I
a
saw
link.
that conversation. But yeah, I have to go back to find it.
Share issues and projects. Welcome for new contributors. Yeah. And grab the URL. Link. Where am I? Okay. Tweets on good first issues. The Kubernetes Slack link I just added in there.
Oh,
But,
so a note on Caslin, her internet's out because of a windstorm in Seattle.
Oh dang.
man.
Oh yeah, I have a friend that's I think got hit by the same thing. It's been out for like a couple of days now.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's like a big issue in the Seattle area right now.
Dang. Wow. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah. So if you could take a whack at a few of those, they're all laid out pretty nicely in that thread. And when you're done, just kind of at Lily to let her know we did it. That'd be
Right.
amazing.
I wish, why can't you just open this in Slack, computer? All right. Well, I know where to find it though. All right. She wanted them to go out like ASAP, or does it? She say when?
Oh, it's usually, I think it was every Friday we tend to like tweet out some like good first issues and things like that.
Right. Trying to find the country. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I found it. Cool.
Great. Okay, moving on. A big thing we like to do here is write. It's one of the more fun, mostly non-code contributions to getting the word out. And last week we talked about how to tell our contributor stories. And I'm pretty happy to say that Chris Short here is pretty much ready to go.
Fancy.
I have an update on that as well. So I sort of wrote down some stuff.
Oh, you wrote down some stuff. Awesome.
I thought, why not?
Could you link it our way?
Yeah. Give me a sec. I mean, it might need some proofreading, some
Of course.
editing.
If you can write without needing proofreading, you are better than me, on that front.
Mm-hmm.
All good. But yeah, just getting the initial story down is huge. I've got half a story down, but I'm looking to finish it up next week. But Bob, I wanted to check with you in getting this onto Kate's.dev as one of those examples of a contributor conversation or a contributor experience. Would I don't know what I'm fumbling over here, but with docs, like the docs team reviews the .io page or the .io blog post.
Yeah, it's pretty much on us to review the dev one, but like
Okay.
the blog team also consists of like me, George, Caitlin, like
okay.
the usual suspects, and most of them are in both places.
Okay.
And for the most part, I'm reviewing for like technical accuracy and things like that. So it's
okay, but we've got a healthy overlap where it won't feel like we're bypassing an existing process. We're just establishing a new process for a new sub page.
Yep.
Cool.
And there's already a blog section in there, so it's just like literally adding a new markdown file.
Yeah. All right. Well, so then I want to officially request a technical review of this one from you, Bob. time is available. Is that cool?
Sick. Yep. Let me.
Once that gets a review, then we can get it wrapped into some markdown and into the repo.
Is that that one here? I'm a non-code contributor and I'm a Kubernetes contributor.
Yeah, we're still
Okay.
working on final titles and all.
Yeah.
What did it take? Great. Is this the one we edited together, Chris?
One linked in the doc.
Yeah, the one that I just linked. I'm just realizing I don't have edit access to review versions.
Really? Oh. Well, hang on. No, that's not the one.
No. Okay.
There's a different
Yeah, I'm
one.
like,
Hang on.
time out.
Yep, there's a different link.
Yeah, request mulligan.
Right.
Let's start over. I'm like, this looks like the original, and I definitely spent some time like adding headers and stuff.
Yeah, no, you did do stuff, and I forget which Google account I put that in. Was it the Red Hat Google?
I'm pretty sure it was
another Google.
Okay, please stand by. All.
Yes.
Sure.
Here we go. Open
Hey,
yesterday.
January
I found
12th.
it. Here we go.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I'm like, I definitely rewrote some title ideas, and I didn't think you deleted them all.
No, absolutely not.
I was like, hey, it's a subtle way of saying you didn't like them. Okay. Actual article to review. So Chris did a great job kind of sharing a story. I'll just share my screen real quick to give an example of what this looks like for others. So actually what we just saw, the previous link we saw, what was that? I think it was this one. So this is actually a great example for others, just to give you. So this is how it came in. Chris just kind of wrote paragraph by paragraph some ideas, and he passed it my way. And when I write mine, I'm going to pass it back to him to do the same thing, because just having a second set of eyes is huge. And you'll notice that it shifted into an introduction, a few ideas on a title. We'll do some search engine optimization review to see which one is the best. And then I broke it out into sections that told like more of a single through line of a story of how he found his SIG, how he contributes, and then kind of the call to action for others to hop right in and do the same. So it was all the same content that he wrote, but rearranged pretty significantly, which happens in every article I work on, whether I write it or somebody else does. And it's really fun that way. And I'm more than happy to help any of you through your own story. And I'm going to ask that you copy edit mine and tell me whether it's a single narrative or multi-narrative type story.
A couple people, someone else, if you want like another story to toss in there, would be Lori.
Oh, Lori Apple, yeah, that'd be a great one.
Oh,
because she's essentially become the program manager for SIG release.
Right, exactly.
That's a cool story of like finding your flow in the community. I feel like she poked around through a few different paths until she found it.
Yep.
Okay.
She mostly jumped in with ContribEx, but then really aligned with sort of getting SIG release honestly ship shape.
Yeah.
Cool. contributor story from Larry Apple. Sladen, I think your story of like the early, choosing to grow a different skill is a really cool, like, I absolutely love it. Even if it was just like a few paragraphs of like, I do this stuff for my day job, I'm trying to complement it with this other work, and I'm just, showing up and learning. Like, that would be a really powerful story if you wanted to write it down.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I could, like write you had a title right on your docs. Maybe I could just, take some points from there and, write up a doc or something.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, and yeah, it's one of those ones where like the first draft is just getting it onto the digital paper. Like, it can have any form of grammar. It doesn't need to have links. It doesn't need to have pictures. You just let your hands type until you tell the story, and then the second one comes together because you did that first one. Yeah. So I don't know. I work with my day job is like helping writers through that process. So excuse me as I tell you something you might already know, but it's just fun to get people to share that story so much. So cool. Look forward to an invite there. Are you in the contributor Slack?
He just joined.
Yep.
Okay.
I just joined.
I'm just gonna give you a hello on via DM so you can find me easily.
Thanks.
Cool. Great. And Bob, I know you if and when the urge comes to share your story, don't be shy.
I can write it down for you as you tell it to me.
Oh yeah. When
I can ghostwrite it for you, Bob, if you really want me to.
It's maybe at a later date. I want to feature other people before I talk about myself.
Yeah, one thing at a time. Like, let's get Chris's through to publication, get Piyush's going and Sladin's, and then reach out to Lori, Apple, and like really get an intersection of like the smart, wonderful people in our community. I think just keep going down that pathway is huge. And I like Chris's angle was very much non-code contribution. I'm writing, my angle is like how to find time in your week to contribute, because that's the challenge I hear a lot. And so each of us can kind of just tell our story from whatever angle comes to mind. I really like the complementary skill set, and Piyush, like, you have so many stories you could tell, but yeah, dealer's choice there. Anyway, other ideas that I heard come up that were pretty interesting, if anyone was looking for something to write about and just wanted to poke at it, there's like the difference between a deprecation and a removal of code. Like, I don't know if we have a canonical reference to that in the Kubernetes space, but that would be a fun write-up. You could interview people who are actually writing the code.
We do actually have a fairly in-depth explanation of what deprecation means and how things are phased out on the Kubernetes website.
On the Case.dev site or Case.io?
No, Case.io.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, and this could be, if it already exists, it's out there. If somebody wanted to editorialize it, like just kind of like write a fun story of like, hey, I went and reviewed the docs and here's what I found. Like, because if people are asking, it means they haven't found those docs. So any way we can kind of elevate those docs.
To be frank, I blame Twitter for most of that.
Yes. But
yeah.
not to toot my own horn, as it were, but like in my end of year blog post that I normally write, I did mention, as a result of the whole Docker Shen deprecation debacle, that there might be a role for developer educators in that dev advocacy kind of umbrella, because it's hard to work on the airplane and figure out how to build new airplanes at the same time. So it would not be a bad idea to kind of up level some of this policy that is kind of buried in the docs.
We've also actually added, just dropped a link. So now even the deprecation warnings and everything will be in your client and
Right.
link out to things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. And last but not least, tell me about your Dr. Shim. I wrote that down like minutes ago and I don't even know what I was thinking. Oh, it was kind of like a playful, tell me about your fears of Dr. Shim, and then like address the fears through accurate
You can
answers.
just take the FAQ and just flip it on its head at that point,
Exactly.
right? Like, yeah.
Exactly. And the point being, it's not that a blog post would provide new information. It would just be a new URL. Yeah, it would resurface it in a new tone and catch the eyes of an existing audience. So like, just know that anything that's already been written can be written again from fresh perspective, with fresh eyes, and it will help. Like it annoyingly can become a numbers game where like just we have to get the message out in front of people more than enough times so that they see it.
Hitting the drum once is never enough.
Yeah. I think about that. So it's like I rarely learn anything the first time I read it. Like to kind of personalize it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more entertaining it is, the more likely I am to learn it. So bringing our own kind of humor and experiences together can be fun. Cool. All right. Those were some ideas. Don't have a ton of time to dig into the back half, but anything on the code side of contribution, bots in progress, questions about bot progress?
Nothing from my side.
Perfect.
For now.
Okay. And I'll just remind everybody, we have, a Twitter bot you can open a pull request to basically send out a tweet without needing the credentials. The path of least resistance is to request something, like just to ask one of us. There are a few documented people with account access, but both are welcome. If you're feeling creative, the pull requests are really fun to review because it's, individual contributors thinking up the stories they want to tell the other contributors. Like that's pretty cool. Oh, Rajula, one thing that was on my mind is there a setting in that bot to render the URLs into cards on Twitter? That was something like when you put a URL into the scheduled tweet and it tweets it, it won't render into like a call out box like it does automatically when you're using the client directly. And I think I'm pretty sure it's a parameter it needs to be set, and I just don't know if the tool has that parameter.
I think you created an issue for this, right? I
already did.
Get to that. Yeah, so the settings has to be done from the website. So the website has to enable some parameter. Let me just find the issue.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess, excuse the repetition, but still on my mind. Cool. And the link is below here. It's contributor SIG or Kubernetes SIG contributor tweets to be able to schedule a tweet. Don't think any issues are outstanding. Nope. Or any pull requests. Good. And then, great. No big issues to draw our eyes to. I think keeping this conversational as part of this workflow. I'll still just say, like, project management wise, like getting away from umbrella issues into, if we have an idea for something, we list it in the doc, and once we commit to something, we make an issue. We'll continue. But no action required, just kind of a FYI. Cool. Anything else on people's minds you want to chat through? Just thoughts last few minutes?
Not so much for me. I'm good.
Sweet. All right. Thanks all.
Just one other thing. Sorry.
No, please go for it.
I was just checking the meeting notes, and then I saw that Paris is looking for a host. Should we tweet that out, or should we just try to communicate something about it?
Is that something I could just say, I'll do it? When is it?
Yeah, I think it's at the top of the meeting notes Bob sent out.
Yep.
Okay.
She's looking for someone to help host meet our contributors and possibly take over for hosting in March.
Oh, cool. I'm a fan of tweeting that out or retweeting it if Chris is on the command line already, or command line, the whatever line.
No, I'm not on the whatever line, but go ahead. I'm just trying to find where she asked in chat.
It was under the mentoring during the Slack stand-up.
Ah, got it. Okay, thank you. One of these days, my calendar will let me come to ContribEx meetings again.
Well, this one we didn't have an actual meeting, an in-person meeting.
Oh yeah, good point.
We're gonna try and instead of having a weekly meeting, go to bi-weekly, and then the other week essentially just do it in Slack.
I really like that. I think after you alpha test it, like we're ready to hop into the beta.
The Slack thread model worked really well for us during the contributor celebration, where we had essentially it was open up and leave 48 hours for people to have conversations on things to resolve any potential, things during that period. And then I would, TLDR the notes and action items from that and send to the list.
I dig it. All right, I think that's to the top of our time. I'm going to stop the recording.